Some people see possible danger and say to themselves, yeah, it's highly unlikely anything would happen to me. I am not that person. It's the Bob and Sheri Oddcast, the Bob and Sheri Oddcast. Come on in, you'll have a blast with the Bob and Sheri Oddcast. Okay, so welcome to all of our Oddcast listeners. Thank you very much. If you don't listen to the regular show, you probably don't know that we play a contest, I don't know, once or twice a week, and it's called I Wish I Didn't Know. And the deal is I have disgusting possibilities. One is an actual fact. I mean, just something disgusting. And Sheri is always the contestant, which is kind of the running gag. And she has to guess which one out of four disgusting things is real. So I'm looking through these cards that the game comes with, trying to decide which one I want to use. And some of them I just can't use on regular radio, you know, but I could hear. Would you like to hear two of them that I've passed on this week? You would?
Yeah, okay. I would.
Okay. Candiru, Candiru, Candiru is a species of catfish found in South America. This sea creature has a bad habit of, and you're gonna have to find this one out, okay? You're gonna have to guess.
Okay, I'm gonna guess.
It has a bad habit of A, finding its way into swimmers' buttholes. B, swimming to penises and wreaking havoc. C, repeatedly biting people. Or D, chewing on the bottom of boats and sinking them. Which one do you think it is?
I believe that I have read about this fish in the past, and it goes and swims up a man's urethra. So I think it's going for penises. I think that's the right answer. Or I'm a
that
sick
is exactly
bitch. I'm not
right.
sure.
That is exactly what I can't believe you know about that.
Wow. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too. And you know what else I'm impressed with? Some guy who knows that the kangaroo is in there and it could eat his dick, and yet he still gets in the river. He's still like a girlfriend that I had years ago. Her parents had a place at Sanibel Island. She's a fantastic person, and she invited me there. I got to stay there at the parents' house right on the water. It was really great. And her uncle owned a house right down the beach. This guy was retired. He was a man's man, you know. He was one of those. You ever seen those guys that live in Florida, and they seem to have a little bit of money? They're balding, gray hair, and they have the most amazing tans. And they never seem to age anymore. They don't have. You couldn't say it's a dad's bod because they're like 70 years old, but the tan looks so damn good on them that they look cool. Her uncle. There were sharks that were swimming, I don't know, 20 feet off and the lifeguards were going, get out, shut. You could see the fins. And I'm there with her brother and I'm fishing. And they go, get out. And I went, oh, yeah, damn sharks. Here comes her uncle with a bathing suit, Mr. Tan, right in. He heard that there were sharks there, but he's lived there so long. And nothing has ever, gotten to him. He's just going, oh, fuck it with these pussies.
Do you know
I
what
can't
I
be
think?
That guy.
You know what I think those people have that we don't? I think they have a less active and dramatic imagination. Because some of the really like ballsy, like, I'll have a fish swim up my dick types that I've known in my life don't suffer from the kind of imagination that you and I have. And here's the thing, like everything, all of your gifts from God are a double-edged sword, right? So this imagination that makes it impossible for us to get in the river with those fish or the ocean with those sharks, that is the same imagination that makes it possible for us to do what we do for a living. So you just have to understand that your gifts have a side to them often, where it's a little bit unpleasant. And the gift of a vivid imagination is great until it goes dark on you. And then it's terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And he's probably saying, hey, I'm 74 years old. I'm still here. Nothing. What am I going to do? You know what would be really evil?
What they say to guys like you, Bob, is, why are you always borrowing trouble?
I know. Yeah. You know, it'd be really evil, almost like a Catherine Turner sort of thriller. So, like, she's got this husband, and she hates him. He's a real asshole, and she reads this somewhere, right, in a magazine, and she knows where I don't know where this is. Oh, it's in Japan, and she knows where the river is in Japan, and she said, baby, we've never been to Japan. What do you mean?
Always
I was looking
to
at this resort. I was looking at this resort on this river, and I would very much like to stay there, and I will make it worth your effort. Oh, okay. And then every day she gets him up. Let's get on the river again. That's
let's pause here. Let's pause here, and then we'll continue this. I was talking to a friend of mine that used to work in the cosmetology industry, and she just kind of casually mentioned that the shampoo one of my daughters was using is famous for like stripping the color and natural oils and stuff out of your hair. And I was like, what? I mean, why would you sell something like that? And she said a lot of times people struggle with their hair, not because their hair is, bad or, wild, but because they're using the wrong products on it. So if you've been guessing and testing and you've got a shower full of bottles, this shampoo that promised one thing, a conditioner that promised another, and at the end of the day, your hair still looks like somebody plugged you into an electrical socket, it's time to check out Formulate. Formulate is the world's first personalized hair care formulation chemistry service. You work with your chemist to design the best shampoo and conditioner you've ever used. What makes it the best? Because it's custom formulated based on your unique characteristics and then adjust it based on your feedback and progress. It's that simple. Go to formulate.co/podcast. You can complete the very brief hair questionnaire. And when you use the code Sheri at checkout, when you order, you'll get a second order free. Once again, that's formulate.co/podcast and use the code Sheri at checkout to get your second order for free. Think about all of the money you have thrown away on stuff that didn't get it done and all those bottles piling up in the bathroom when formulate.co is waiting to custom blend the perfect hair solution. Once again, use the code Sheri at checkout, get your second order for free. Let's get back to the show. So, the what you're describing, the scenario you just did of this woman, and this is a Dateline episode for sure. This woman who's like, I've had quite enough of you, but I would like to avoid the ugliness of divorce and get all the money. So I'm going to take you to this river where these fish swim, and this fish is going to swim up your urethra and you're going to die an agonizing death.
Yeah.
What makes that relationship work is one of them has the dark, twisted imagination, and the other one is that, what do you borrow in trouble for, guy? But that is how.
So you think they balance out that way? You think they balance out?
They balance out that way until things go bad, and that's when you find yourself swimming with the what'd you call that fish? I forget what you called that fish. What was its name?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's Candiru.
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 Yeah,
Candiru.
Yeah. One of the things that when my girls were little, so my older daughter.
By the way, it wasn't. I have to correct myself. It wasn't Japan. It was South
Amazon.
America.
Yeah, it's the Amazon.
Course, South America.
Because I read about that fish swimming up men's urethras, and I did think to myself, it must move awfully fast because based on the way I see y'all carry on, if someone kicks you in the nads, a fish, like just the fish kind of knocking on the door of swimming up your urethra, you would think you would have time to swat it away, right? It must move like lightning. Anywho, back to the bad imagination.
Well, the pain there in that part of it is not as bad as if you got kicked in the balls.
You don't think? You don't think having a fish penetrate your penis through its little head?
Oh yeah,
and swim into your urethra. You're telling me you'd rather have that than be kicked in the balls?
It's not a day at Candyland, but
You're an interesting creature. You are such an interesting man. I have never known.
I don't want either one. I don't want either one.
Have you ever been catheterized?
No.
Yeah, you change your opinion about that. Yeah.
Okay, knock on wood here, knock on wood over there. Let's change the subject.
No, here's what I love about you. You're such an interesting man, and you do have this big imagination, and you do like to borrow trouble. In your life, you've borrowed very little money and all the trouble that they could drop off at your door, right? But this is what I love about you. You're over there going, yes, I'd rather have a fish swim through the head of my dick than get kicked in the balls. Who would ever choose that? Only you.
Well, I don't want either one. I'm just saying at that exact moment, I think probably getting kicked in the balls is more painful. But, if you said you have the choice, then I'm going to take the kick, right? All right, here's another one.
Let's just pause and be thankful. There's not ever a moment in life except for a Saw movie where those are your two choices. And you have to pick one.
I'll tell you, after this, I'm never going to South America. I may not go to South Florida. All right, here's another one. See if you can get this right. Okay, this is from the game. I wish I didn't know. This is why I said Japan. I looked at the second card. A record 250 couples in Japan got together to shatter this world record for the most childbirths in one place, highest number of divorces happening at one time, that's B, C, largest couples therapy session, or D, the largest orgy.
I'm going to go with childbirth.
Yeah, I think that's it.
250 people giving birth, women giving birth?
Yeah.
It's the orgy.
Ew, that's too many people. You can't control the germs and the ew.
Well, I mean, if you're from the South, the thank you notes you'd have to write.
This reminds me.
It's an old joke, but I like it.
It worked there, okay?
Hey, don't get so defensive. It's not like we're going to kick you in the balls because we didn't like it. Settle down.
I feel like there's a fish swimming up my dick.
Hey, there's a sentence you never thought you'd utter.
Absolutely.
This reminds me. So I'm listening to the Dateline podcast while I'm out walking the other day, and the episode comes on, and it turns out that the couple had done a little bit of swinging. They had just kind of gotten into adult friend finders and had done a little bit of swinging, not that much, and basically went to a key party.
What's the adult what now? Friend finders?
There's a website called Adult Friend Finder, which
if I saw that, I thought it would be a good place to go to find out where's a good lawn service. Boy, would I be wrong.
I'm guessing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know very much about Adult Friend Finder, but I'm guessing there are things that you can do there besides get up with swingers. So
don't you love the ways that swingers sort of soften what they're doing? No pun intended.
Oh yeah.
It's not fuck finders. It's friend finders.
It's friend finders. And what amazes me now, granted, I'm exposed to this because of my interest in like true crime stuff, and Max will back me up here. You would be amazed, Bob, at how many of these homicide and missing spouse cases involve swinging. True or false, Max?
Yeah, it's true. Yes.
Oh, you're kidding. Really?
No. And I'm not saying that swinging leads to murder. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that there's a weird, there's just a weird consistency, over and over again, whether it's Dateline or Forensic Files or whatever it is, you're like, oh man, they're swingers again. So this particular husband just casually mentioned that they'd gone to an old school key party. And I thought about that. And I'm not, I'm just not a swinger. I'm just not wired for it. I can't do that much multitasking. But I really don't want to go to, I've never lived in a neighborhood where I want to go to a party and then have sex with any of my neighbors. How about y'all?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I wouldn't. I would do terrible at these key parties where you put your keys in a bowl and then somebody comes over, because the women are come over and they go, "That's the Camry guy right there." How exciting can that be?
You would be doing so much nervous chatter beforehand.
I know.
You'd be known as, your nickname in the swinger group would be Talkie. They'd be like, oh my God, Dodge the Toyota keys, they're Talkies.
Yeah. You know, the women are going right for the Lexus or they're going for the Jag keys. I show up with it. I mean, it's a great car. Oh, Mr. Avalon. Well,
you know what though, Bob? Here's how I want you to look at that. I'm not going for the Jag keys or the Lexus keys because I'm thinking to myself, what are you compensating for, Dave? I'm hunting around in that bowl for some Ford F-150s or Toyota keys.
Yeah, that's
I'm
smart.
not interested. If I'm going to swing with one of my neighbors, and God help me if that day ever comes, but if I'm going to swing with one of my neighbors, the last thing I want is some dude that feels like he has something to prove.
Yeah. You want something dependable, don't you? Something that doesn't break down.
Yeah. And I would know this about you. I would be like, all the other women would be like, oh my God, here comes Talkie. And I'd be like, you say what you want about Talkie. He's clean as a whistle. Where are those Toyota keys? There's a lot going for you.
You make me sound like a fish, that is about to be filleted.
No, in a swinging, listen, you need to take your victories where you can find them. Okay, in a swing neighborhood key party context, I'm looking at you and I'm like, look at that one. Takes care of himself. You could eat off of him. He's so clean. And look at him. He drives the Toyota. He wears that silly ass hat. He does those fucking weird exercises in the front yard. Here's a man that has nothing to prove. I bet he's hot as a hot dog in the sack.
Thank you. I don't do exercises in the front yard while there's anybody around. If there's no one around, and I've been sitting in front of this damn microphone for hours, I might, move my hips a little bit, move my arms, put the shoulders back. I'm not standing out there like a lawn jockey, a human lawn jockey, doing exercises for all to see.
My friend Tina throws back her third glass of wine and she goes, oh, you mean Talkie's Tai Chi? And how we all laugh. But you know what? When the bowl gets passed around, we're like, oh, who's laughing now, sister? Who's laughing now? So I want you to feel very good about yourself.
Thank you. It won't last, but thank you. Did you ever know anybody who had a lawn jockey?
No, of course not.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I did. I did. My father's lawyer, Gary.
Bob, my people are the people who have the Blessed Mother in the front yard, not a lawn jockey.
Well, he had the Blessed Lawn Jockey, and he's holding a lamp. When we go to their house, I was always so fascinated with that thing because I'm looking at it and I'm going, damn, this guy doesn't have horses. This is not like some big estate or something. He's got this, and by the way, people are thinking it was a white lawn jockey. All right, I'll give Gary that, but he's out there with his hand holding the little lamp. And when we would go to their house, I'm like 10. That's the only thing I could think about when we were driving there, that I'm going to walk past the lawn jockey who was about my height, and then it's true. He had a little red coat and a little black hat on. Holding that lamp.
I know what they are, but I have not ever seen one in the wild because where I come from, and really honestly where Max comes from, you have the Blessed Mother in your front yard. And then at Christmas time, at Christmas time, the Blessed Mother is flanked on one side by Frosty and on the other side by Santa.
It's true.
It's so wrong.
But you know what? When you're a kid, it doesn't seem wrong, right?
No.
That one house in the neighborhood, they had the nativity scene set up in their carport. You took the driveway down, and so there was Mary, Joseph, the wise men, Frosty, Rudolph, Santa Claus. They were all there.
You know why it didn't seem wrong? Because adults did it. You just said, well, Frosty next to the baby Jesus, an adult put that there. I guess it's okay.
I mean, everybody.
We didn't realize how fucked up they were,
Everybody had it. Yeah. My brother, the neighborhood my brother lives in, the people that had this house, they must have died or gone into a retirement home or whatever, because the house has since been like renovated and painted, and the porch has been fixed. But they had a little front porch and a roof over the front porch, and for as long as anybody could remember, they had a tableau on the roof of the porch. It was the nativity scene. They kept it up all year round. I mean, you know, it's not easy getting that stuff up on the roof and getting it lit. they had the nativity scene. And I guess over time, they accumulated other decorations because toward the end of the run, it was the baby Jesus and the three wise men and Mary and Joseph and Batman and a penguin and Frosty and some Barbie dolls. It was the craziest damn thing. And the first time that my girls were really kind of old enough to appreciate it, we had taken this wasn't all that long ago, Max. It was when we were in Philly for Podcast Movement. Remember? So that was just a handful of years ago. I had Karamia and her best friend Katie with me, and I was like, girls, I'm going to show you something that is just going to, Katie, this is going to blow your mind. And we go, and the house, they had moved out of the house, and the new homeowners had taken down baby Jesus and Batman and the wise men. And, I was so disappointed because it was something I look forward to seeing every year.
Once you catch a house like that, it just sticks with you forever. And it does give you, even though you'd probably not do it yourself because you think that you have better taste or something, it gives you some sort of happiness because you can picture who the people are who live there. There's this little house, and it's right on the river in Barrington, Rhode Island, and where the river feeds out to Long Island Sound. And I was there for a service for a friend of mine's father who passed away a couple of years ago. And so I was all alone, and I'm walking around, and there's this house. It's a very simple sort of ranch house. And in the front, there are the wise men. And they were kind of like the teaser. And this is like in July. But the wise men and camels and palm trees, and they had sand that kind of looked like a desert. That was all across the front of the house. And then I looked, and then it turned, and there was more sand, and it would take you to the back. Now, I could only see a little bit of it, and I'm saying to myself, do you have the balls to go back there? You're going to be in somebody else's driveway, but you want to see what's back there. And so I'm looking around, and the people next door didn't seem to be home. So I'm going. And so I walked back. Oh, my God. Once you were hooked in the front with the wise men, but once you got to the back, it was like you were in the Middle East. More sand, more palm trees. This is permanent. And all sorts of Middle Eastern people in robes, different sizes,
wow.
little flat top houses that would look like something you'd see in Jerusalem. And there at the very back is Joseph. And he's to the right of the Holy Mother. And of course, she's holding the baby Jesus. So the whole thing just brings you right back there. And it covered just about the whole backyard. And I often wondered, what did the neighbors think? You know?
These are my spirit people. I always wanted, I didn't have parents that would do this kind of thing. I always was so jealous of the kids who lived in the houses with the kind of crazy that you're describing. They just seem to be like their lives just seem to be so much more filled with magic.
It seemed to be purpose too. Even if you're saying secretly that, that's my wasp would come out. Well, that's kind of tacky. But those people seem to be so filled with belief.
Yes, and the effort that it takes to do that, and that is a kind of an everyday magic and whimsy that is more rare than you think. Like, if that were common, that wouldn't have struck you so much. You wouldn't have trespassed to get another look. You still wouldn't be thinking about it. Yeah, we all decorate a little bit, put a jack-o'-lantern out or a snowman or whatever. But the people that make that level of commitment, these are special people. And to grow up in a family where that kind of thing is going on, I just always thought that is the luckiest way to be born.
And you know what they're called? Family. You know what they're called by their friends, especially the wife's friends? Oh, she's big Catholic.
Or big something.
Do you know that? Yeah, do you know big Catholic? Nobody would say that my father is little Catholic, because he'd go a couple of times a year and pay for father's dinner when he came into the restaurant. But there were always those family. Oh yeah. Jim Mahoney and and Connie. Yeah, they're big Catholics.
Don't you, even though you would not do it, it's not in your wiring to do that. Wouldn't you have loved it if that had been your parents? If they had been the most brightly decorated house at Christmas and had the kind of thing that other people slowed down to look at when they went by? Would you
Yeah,
not
I
have
guess
loved
so.
that?
I mean, I think I'd be a little self-conscious at one point if I'm with what I just described in
Well, I
Barrington,
mean,
Rhode Island.
once you become a
Yeah,
teenager, you're embarrassed that you have parents.
right.
Like, why
And by
could
the
you not have
way,
been born in a laboratory?
I know. By the way, Barrington, Rhode Island, if you've never been there and you're going through New England, what I just described is an anomaly. It is a true New England sea town village with a working harbor, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful little place, and it has the greatest Fourth of July parade in the country. As a matter of fact, the streets are the dividing lines in the streets are red and blue year round. I mean, they really, that's their focus. Bearing,
But
not Barrington, Bristol, Bristol,
Bristol, but
Bristol, Rhode Island.
okay, so think about that. That family that recreated Bethlehem in their backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they weren't just big Catholic. They were so clear in their faith that they were willing to buck the community to
Oh
go
yeah.
to not to go against community standards, but clearly people were much more austere and simple, maybe in their decorating.
Oh, the houses in Bristol are cedar shake, you know, um, very very tasteful. There are mansions in the town that have been there for 150 years, from like the Vanderbilt era, and then you have what I just described. That's
Yeah,
why it was so interesting.
think of the sheer fortitude and conviction. That's the word I'm looking
Right,
for. The
right.
conviction that it took to erect life-size plywood camels in your backyard in Bristol,
Mm-hmm.
Rhode Island. These people are
Mm-hmm.
heroic. I love it. I love it. I wish, and I can't. I mean, I could do it, right? But who has all the energy? Like, you work and take care of your family, and then at the end of the day, you don't want
Right.
to go out and construct a scale model railroad for Santa's elves in the front yard. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
don't have the energy for all of it. But
I
man,
think
do
that
I love it.
I think the husband did that. She wanted something like that, and he started, with the three wise men maybe in the front, and then he had this vision that it all lead back to the Holy Mother and the baby Jesus, and he did that. She's more religious than he is, but he did it because it made her happy.
I'm with you. I think that in these scenarios, um, the secret sauce in getting this done is always the husband, right? He doesn't have to be the one who wants it, but he's the one who ends up doing it for whatever
He
his
doesn't fight
motives
it.
are.
He
Yeah,
doesn't fight it.
he does it. And if you don't snag you one of them, then you're not going to have a recreation of Bethlehem in the backyard
Right.
or Batman nativity scenes. You're just not going to have it. You must have that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just one of the most memorable things of that trip when I was up there. This was
Well,
go ahead.
no, go ahead and finish.
This was a service for a guy who was the uncle. Um, would he have been an uncle? He married my first wife's sister, and he was an
Th-
older guy. He was like 20 years older
So
than
he was your
she
former
was.
brother-in-law.
Yeah, in essence, he was. He was,
Yeah.
but he was way, way older than me. I mean, he was like 30 years older than me.
Well,
Great
that's
guy.
because you married your first wife when you were in middle school, and he waited till he was
Yeah.
a grown adult to get married. That's
That is
partly
exactly
why.
what happened. Yeah.
That is, that's what happened.
He was
Um,
a really nice man. He took us in. He
and
and
good
he,
for
he
you
died at
for
the age of 93.
going to his service.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in when you can, and sometimes you can't. You should show up for people's weddings and funerals, because if you're too busy to say goodbye to someone as they leave this world, what do you have time for, right? So
especially
I'm really
if somebody did something nice. He got me the job with the extermination company when, I had no way of making a living for us. He got me the job in the plastics factory, and when I quit them both to go into something as stupid as radio, he never bitched about it. It's funny what you remember about people and just little things that they say. And I said it the other day. I can't believe that we're talking about this. So his wife, my first wife's sister, was a fantastic cook. That's where I loved spaghetti and red clam sauce. She's just unbelievable cook. And we'd have these big dinners in their house. We lived in the apartment upstairs. They lived in the one downstairs with her father, who lived in the back room. That's another whole story. But then we would clean the table, right? So there's like, let's see, 4, including their kids, 6 kids, 7 kids, 7 people. So there's a lot of plates, and we're loading, scraping the plates and loading the dishwasher, and the dishwasher is really loaded. And so there's a few more to go. And I go, wow, it looks like it's all packed. And he goes, no, there's always room to get one more in. And he got it in. And why would I remember that little thing? I said it the other day. When Madison and Hampton and I were with Mary cooking here.
Because you and I have applied that philosophy to marriage. There's always room for just the one more.
One more.
We can get one more. Yeah. Well, I will say as we wrap up this episode of the Oddcast that it has come full circle, because we started off talking about how your imagination is a blessing and a curse. And I really do feel that God is looking down with great pride and saying, look at this. I bestowed this dark, insane imagination on these two, and they managed to go from a fish that swims up your dick to a recreation of Bethlehem to a heartfelt memory about loading the dishwasher in one Oddcast episode. Well done, my faithful servants. Well done.
That's exactly right.
So you can feel a lot of pride about that.
And then
just
he
don't
says,
go swimming in the Amazon.
And this Mama Look didn't go to the Amazon to go swimming, so I got to give him something. All right, folks, that's it.
Oddcast. We really appreciate your joining us. We have new episodes every Monday and Friday. And on Thursdays, Max releases Fun Size, which he creates. It's about 10 minutes long. Snack size, perfect for sharing, and a really good quick laugh if you're in the market for one. Our website is BOBANDSHERI.com. You can email us there, DM us on any of the socials. If you have our app, it's free in Google Play and the App Store. You can hit the little microphone at the bottom right corner of the screen and talk. Love to hear from you. And if you've had an exciting adventure that you'd like to share on the Oddcast, we'd love to have you on as a guest. Thank you so much for being with us today. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Bob and Sheri podcast and the Bob and Sheri Oddcast. We would love if you would subscribe, rate and review, and share it with a friend on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you go. And thank you again for listening.